Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's your first time here. Today I'm going to be making a floral 1890s cycling outfit. It's been a while, but I'm back in the swing of things. Had some life stuff going on, also had to get a new crown. It's nice being able to talk to you without having a microphone covering my face. They've done a really good job as well, it's quite a good colour match. Anyway, I've seen an image floating around the internet for a while now. I saved it on my phone because I was like, I need to make this at some point. It captured my imagination because I would like to meet the woman who wore this outfit. I see her as being the kind of person who gave no shits. Like, if somebody told her that she couldn't do something, she went and did it anyway. I think you all know the image I'm talking about. It was in the thumbnail. It's this one. I love this outfit. It's hideous. It's really, really hideous. But it's so much fun. It's not the sort of thing that you see every day. Like, I've seen so many pictures of cycling outfits. They're so boring. They're just various shades of brown that I've seen. This is different. This is fun. This shows somebody who's a bit eccentric. And I love it. Now, the only problem I've got is I am on a very tight budget. I couldn't get any. Obviously the ideal thing would have been a wool or a suiting. I couldn't find anything like that in this pattern. I found some fabrics that might be suitable, like that looked right and like they were like a nice weight and stuff, but they were very expensive and I have no money. So I turned to my old favourite, not sponsored, Pound Fabrics. It's not exact, but I think it's close enough. It gives the correct feel, I think. It is a floral, it's got pinks in it, it's got greens in it. I think this will do. It's not as green as the source image, but with my skin tone and stuff, I don't tend to suit yellowy greens anyway. So going for something that's a little bit of a more of a tealy green, that suits me, that's fine. The only problem with this fabric is it's very thin. It is a thin polyester. It is basically just plastic. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to line it with something. The idea that I've had, I've got some interfacing which would work for the lapels. A while ago I ordered some cotton linen blend fabric, but it was way too stiff to actually do anything with. My guess is that it was actually upholstery fabric, but they didn't actually put that on the listing. So I'm thinking I can use that to interline this fabric and give it a little bit more body and a little bit more stiffness. I don't have much, so I think I'm going to be able to do the actual like bodice section of the jacket, but I'm not going to be able to do the sleeves. I'll have to think of something else to do for the sleeves. I did originally think that the shirtwaist was pink, but I found a higher res version of the image and it looks like it's actually gingham. So I have found some gingham fabric. The gingham itself is a little bit bigger than it is in the source image, but again, it has the same feel. It'll do. I have also ordered a hat that should be coming soon. When it arrives, I will open it with you. I have a problem with hats. My head is incredibly small, so I have ordered the child size. We shall see if it even resembles a boater hat. And we shall also see if the child size is going to be way too small, or as has been the case sometimes, is still too big. I'm going to be using a combination of black snail patterns and truly Victorian patterns. I already had a shirtwaist pattern from Truly Victorian, which I've used a number of times, so I'm going to be modifying that. And I've got a jacket pattern, some cycling breeches and gaiters. They're all black snail. I've not used those patterns before, so there will be some jiggery pokery fitting nonsense going on with those to see if I can get them to fit me properly. Generally, commercial patterns, I end up having to do a lot of alterations. I am going to be making quite a lot of alterations to the jacket anyway. I need it to be quite a bit shorter than that, and I also want to combine the top and the bottom. I don't want it to be like a peplum. But I will get more into that in just a moment. This is the linen I was talking about. It's very crunchy. Like, it's not as flowy and stuff as I would like a linen to be. So I can't really make like a shirt or anything like that out of it. But I am thinking it could help just to give that little bit of extra weight. This is the shirtwaist pattern from Truly Victorian. It is TV494. The version I'm using is version B, which has got the yoke on it. I have made some changes though. The collar has stayed the same, so I don't need to worry about that. The giant sleeve has stayed the same, so I don't need to worry about that. But what I have done is, it had a peplum on it before, and I never liked the way you had the waistband and then the peplum, because there were times when like my grey skirt is particularly heavy, and it pulls down a little bit at the back, and then you could see that waistband sticking out, and I didn't like that. So I have joined the whole thing together into one piece, and I think that's going to work a lot better. Also, the yoke part was like that sort of shape. So what I've done is I've straightened that off, and I've straightened it off on the top of there as well. So because I would prefer just a straight yoke on it. And plus, you don't see any details like that on the reference image. So that's the shirtwaist. Right, so for the black snail patterns, I've got the gaiters. I'm not going to change them. They're just gaiters, and they look pretty much exactly like they do in the reference image, so that's okay. The only thing I need to do is make sure that they fit. Now, there are two changes that I'm making with these. For reference, it's the black snail 0216 women's trousers 1900. These have got these button placket fly front bits that are supposed to go in the fly area here. I want mine to be side opening because on the reference image I'm not seeing any signs of a fly opening, so I think they're side opening. The other change that I'm going to make is these have got like a series of folds and tucks and stuff to gather up the waistband. I am just going to have it gathered up. This is because when looking at the reference image, it does look like it's gathered around the waistband, and that is the look that I prefer to go for. For the jacket, I am using, again, black snail patterns 0520 1890s skirted jacket. The sleeve, I'm not going to change. It's a massive sleeve. That's going to be perfect. This is my original front panel. I have not changed this one because I know better than to actually start messing about with the original. I have retraced it. Collar pieces I'm keeping the same, don't want to mess with that. Facing piece, which is based on the altered one. This is my new lining piece, again with the skirted bit added onto it because I do not want a peplum. I don't want the seam going through the waist. I want it to travel all the way down. Back piece. Side. This is where things get funky. Right, what I have done is, obviously I have added the skirted bit onto the bottom of it to elongate it. This is based on a double-breasted jacket. The reference image looks like it doesn't even properly close at the front. So what I have done is I cut along this line and moved it all over. So it's not going to have like a closure or anything, because like I say, on the original it looks like it doesn't actually close. This has also enabled me to shorten the shoulder as well, because on every single commercial pattern, no matter what it is, the shoulder is always about an inch too big for me. So we're going to do a mock-up of each of the pieces and see what little alterations need to be made. Okay, so this actually isn't too bad. The shirtwaist, that fits really, really nicely. I'm really pleased with that. The shorts and the gaiters need some tweaks. The gaiters fit really nicely, apart from they've got a bit of excess fabric going over the foot. So once I take that out, they'll be laughing, they'll be fine. The cycling breeches, on the other hand, right, they fit okay at the sides. I'll just angle the camera down. Right, fine here, fine here. Maybe add a little bit of extra fabric just to here, just so that it closes a little bit better. I think I did the waistband at 29 and I'm at 29.5. But the big thing is in this area. Can you see how the waistband is dipping down in the middle? That is because the rise isn't enough. I'm also kind of eating the fabric a bit at the back. So what I need to do on the pattern to correct that is scoop out in the crotch section to give me some more fabric in this area, and then extend it on the hips the same amount that I've taken out. I'll demonstrate that on the pattern so you'll be able to see. But other than that, this is good. The length is good as well. I was worried they were going to be too long, but they're actually not. So the bottom part of this is fitting fine. It's just this area. Okay, so this is the jacket. I didn't bother with the sleeves because that is a lot of fabric and I know they're going to fit. Like, I can just gather them down to fit, so that'll be fine. I will have to compare with the reference image to see if the collar needs taking in, lapel needs taking in a little bit. I feel like I can probably get another inch out on each side of the waist and that'll be fine. I know it's going to be open anyway, but I want to at least give myself the option of closing it. The other thing is it is too long. It's quite a bit too long. I think it needs to be cut off about here. Again, I will look at the reference image and make that decision. I'll just draw straight onto this and then cut it where it needs to be cut. On the whole though, I am very pleased. Just a few minor changes to a couple of the patterns, and then we are good to go. We can start cutting out actual fashion fabric. Okay, so where I'm at with the gaiters is I need to take off a chunk there. I'm wondering if it's because maybe these are supposed to be worn with flats and I'm wearing admittedly a small heel, but a heel all the same, so it's changed this angle. I have marked on one of these. I know I should have ironed them, but I was being lazy. There we go. I've marked on there in green pen how much needs to be taken out of that, so I can mark that on the pattern. The other thing though is it wasn't closing great through this middle section here. I'm trying to figure out how I can add more to the pattern on these two pieces, just in like from here to here. I'll have a little play and I will get back to you. I was overthinking it. I've just added some extra to the back there and that should make up that space. So I've just tapered it out. Now for the adjustment to the cycling breeches. Oh yeah, I also took off that bit and added my seam allowance back in as well. Okay, so I have made my changes to the bloomers pattern. I realise that I've been using the word bloomers and breeches and trousers and stuff interchangeably. I promise I will do some research and find out which is actually the correct term for these. Anyway, as we know, I didn't have enough room in this area. So, what I originally did on the pattern was I scooped some out here to give a bit more room and then added to the end. I didn't like the way it looked with it being added to the end. It like kind of changed the angle towards the bottom of them and stuff, and I didn't like that. So what I ended up doing was I printed out this pattern again and then I added a bit to the end. So rather than scooping out, I have increased this length by adding to the end. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why did you print out the entire pattern again just to add a strip? And the answer to that is I didn't take my own advice and I altered the actual pattern before deciding that I didn't like the way it looked. So this pattern here is a freshly printed one. This strip here is taken from the original pattern that I printed. So this is the front anyway. And as you can see, I have done the same with the back. I've just added even more. So, like I say, it was important to me to keep the shape of them. I did consider just printing out like a size that would be the width of this bit, but I feel like I would have ended up with way too much gathering at the top, and looking at it, the scoopiness of this bit is still quite shallow, so I still probably would have ended up with a problem in that area. So the reason why this works better than to just print out a bigger pattern is because I've got quite a difference, especially when I'm wearing a corset, between my waist measurement and my low hip measurement. I hold most of my weight low on my bum, and I'm quite skinny in this kind of area. So for me, rather than just lengthening this bit or making the whole thing wider, the only option is to make sure that I've got enough room in this area here going underneath the bum. I hope I've explained that in a way that is useful to somebody. Anyway, I have done a mock-up and it fits really nicely, so that means it is time to cut out the fashion fabric. I started with a shirtwaist. I decided I wanted a smaller sleeve because the lining of the jacket was smaller, so I used my block Victorian sleeve pattern. I attached the yoke first, then did my button placket. Next, I stitched the sides together and added the sleeves. Right, the shirt's done. I finished that off last night. It's something that I've done a few times now. I've made this shirt before as well. So if you'd like a detailed look on exactly how to put this shirt together step by step, then there is a card to when I first made this shirt up in the corner. Right, so my plan for today is I want to try and get the gaiters and the breeches done. I still need to look up whether they're breeches, bloomers, or something else. Either way, my plan is cut them out of the fashion fabric, which is this lovely flowery fabric, and I was thinking of doing an interlining with this. It's quite nice. I've got no idea what it is. It's not got any stretch to it. It's nice and sturdy. It's quite thick, and it's like smooth on that side, and then nice and kind of like soft like on the other side, and I'm thinking that could be quite nice against my skin. So this is what we're using to interline it. I will look up the instructions from the black snail pattern and see if it wants you to use any interfacing or anything on it to help them be a bit more sturdy or not. But yeah, pretty confident that with the little changes that I've made, this pattern is going to fit me nicely now. For the breeches, I'm going to be using the fashion fabric on the outside and then a plain white cotton on the inside, just because this is quite thin and I want it to have a little bit more body to it. And also it'd be nice if they weren't in any way see-through. Okay, so apologies for the sun, it's been a pain at the moment. It keeps creeping round, and every time I close the blind a bit more, it creeps around a bit more. Yeah, so we've got a mark here. But you can see that I have clipped and pressed all of my seams. Now, the instructions say you should bind the edges. I've looked as closely as is possible at the image that I'm using as a reference, and I can't see any evidence of a bound edge anywhere. I mean, it's entirely possible that there is one, but because the image is quite pixelated when you zoom in, I just can't see it. But it is literally the only image of this outfit that is floating around the internet that I have managed to find. So I have to work with what I can. To me, it looks like there isn't binding around the edge of the gaiters. So what I am going to do is put these right sides together and stitch all around, leaving the top open. I am also at the same time going to insert a little bit of black elastic. This is going to be the bit that will flip underneath the shoe. Once I've got all that sewn up, I can use the open top edge to turn it all the right way round and then press all those seams. The top seam is going to be underneath the breeches, so it's going to be hidden. I don't need to worry too much about having it very neatly machine stitched. I probably will top stitch it. I might top stitch all of these seams actually, just to make them look a bit neater. But the top seam is going to be hidden, so it doesn't need to be absolutely pristine like the ones that are going to be seen. Not that my sewing is absolutely pristine anyway. But yeah, that's the plan. Right, this is pretty much done now. I've done all my top stitching, top stitched along the top of there to close it off. What I've got to do now is add the buttonholes, which I've marked on there in green where those buttonholes need to go. Then I need to finish the end of this. I've decided that when it comes to actually putting buttons on, because that's something that I find incredibly tedious, I am gonna just dedicate a night to doing the buttons on everything. Just chill out, watch some telly, sew on a million buttons, because I've got to do the shirtwaist and I've got to do this, which, let's see. It's 30 in total on that. So yeah, I'll have to see if I've got any suitable buttons for this as well. Hopefully I do. If not, then I will have to take a trip to the shop. But yes, buttonholes, and then I'm going to... Actually, I just realised I can't really finish this off until I've done at least one button. So yeah, buttonholes, then I'm going to do the breeches. Okay, so I didn't get as much done yesterday as I would have liked to, because I came over feeling a bit unwell, so I had to have a little lie down. But I still got quite a lot done. I'm really happy. The gaiters are pretty much done. These, what are they called? These buttonholes just need to be opened up, and then I need to find 30 identical buttons. I don't have any in my stash, I've looked. So it's going to be a trip to the shop. For the cycling bloomers, I've decided I'm going to call them cycling bloomers from now on, because cycling bloomers seem to be wider, I've seen in pictures, and I think that that's the difference. If anybody does know what the difference is between cycling breeches and cycling bloomers, let me know in the comments, because I've not managed to find anything. Right, I serged both my fashion fabric and the lining together for the main part of the bloomers. So I'm going to be treating these two pieces of fabric as one from now on. I also did the pocket bag, which is the lining, and then it's got a bit of the fashion fabric on the side as the facing, which that's going to be the bit that you see kind of poking out when the pocket's kind of gaping a bit. I've got some experimenting that I need to do. I've got some figuring out. These bloomers were fly fastening at the front, and then they had a pocket on each side. I would still very much like to have a pocket on each side, because even though I'm probably not going to wear these things out very often, it's still nice to have the option of having pockets. I have got to think of a way to get a pocket in a seam that closes with buttons. I'm gonna see if anybody else has done it, and how they did it. If not, I'm gonna see if I can figure out a way of doing it. You must be able to do it. I don't think I'm asking the impossible here. I just want a pocket and a side opening. But I'll have a play and then I will get back to you. Right, I think I have got this figured out. There was a lot of faffing. There was at least an hour of faffing, but I think I have got this straightened out in my head. So, this is the pocket bag for the right side. I decided to split the facing piece in two. This is the bit that's at the top of the right front piece. This will get stitched down and folded in, and that will all look nice and neat. Actually, no, I've just worked out something. I'm going to leave this one because I think I need to sew this placket on at the same time that I sew the back piece so that the seams are locked together. So ignore this one for now. This is the important one. This is on the actual pocket. This will flip to the inside like that, and then that will finish off this seam here for the pocket. Did you see what I did there? I had the pins like that and I just went like that with my hand. I'm amazed it's not bleeding. Anyway, I digress. So that's what I need to do for this one now. For the other side, that is a lot simpler. Right, so I've got a front piece, pocket, back piece. I've pinned these along the pocket opening so that when they're flipped the other way and these seams iron flat, that'll be nice finished seams along the pocket. Once I have sewn these, I will finish this pocket. Next for this side will be basically to sew all these seams together, and then from there down, then that side's done. I've just realised I can probably actually sew this all the way down and it's not going to alter anything. I'll just have like an extra line of stitching when I do them together. That might be a bit neater. But yeah, that's the easy side. And then this is the back panel for the right side, and it's got this little placket bit on it. I can probably cut away the seam allowance on that, actually I should have done. So this gets sewn. This will go, that seam allowance will be flipped and then it'll go under like that. Difficult to show one-handed and when there's pins in it like that. I will show you that when I'm actually doing it. So time to start sewing this. This is so complicated, and I've realised that I've made a mistake, but I'm pretty sure I can correct it. So, I've got this bit with 2 buttons on there, I've got my placket, and I've got this bit with buttons on there. I messed up that, ignore it, this is going to be hidden anyway, so it doesn't matter. Right, where I have messed up is because if I complete my pocket by attaching these 2 pieces together, then I've got my pocket opening there. The problem I've got is I've got this flappy bit now that is in the way of these. All this needs to be sandwiched together so that the buttons can go through. So what I am thinking I am going to do is I'm going to sew up this bit and do the finish off the pocket as normal, and then on this bit I'm just going to mark where the buttons are and then do the little slits by hand, then do the little slits and just sew around, do a little buttonhole stitch around those just so they don't fray and stuff. Then I can sandwich this together. I don't know why I was thinking that this bit would be on the inside, so I've ended up with this big gap, so I just need to find another bit of fabric that I can just use to cover that over, and then that's all good. But we're getting there. After I've done this, all I need to do is sew down this leg, put the waistband on, and put the cuffs on the bottom of the legs, buttonholes on them, and buttonholes on the waistband. I also need to gather up the top of the waist to go into the waistband. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this completed today, which is nice. I will admit I was getting incredibly confused, but I think I've cracked it now. What I've done is, again, ignore how off these are. These ones will be hidden. You won't be able to see those from the outside. What I did was I cut down this bit, folded it in. I'm going to sew that down by hand, and I'm also going to sew it to here by hand. This is my pocket bag, so I've still got access to that. And then this side I've cut down the white bit of the pocket, and I'm going to stitch this down by hand as well. Fingers crossed this should work. I've looked at it from the outside and it looks like it should be okay. I've just got those 2 buttons there. So I'm going to do that hand sewing, and then it's waistband and cuffs. Oh, also connecting them at the crotch. Can't forget that. Right, fingers crossed you can see this okay. What I'm doing is, I'm starting on the jacket, by the way. I finished everything else last night. These sleeves are huge. They're bigger than the fabric that I've got, but that's okay because I only want to cut the outer fabric in this size. It's got a little bit, this bit, which I'm going to cut out of something like netty, or if I've got any tarlatan, that would be good, to give the sleeve head a bit more structure. But for the inner sleeve, the pattern has got this smaller one built into it, which I want to cut out of my lining fabric and the pink cotton linen mix, which is a bit sturdier. I want to keep this pattern intact though, because I want to be able to use it for future things. So I don't want to cut this smaller sleeve out. What I'm doing, the ideal thing would, because I've got a tracing wheel, but I don't have any of the paper stuff to go underneath it to actually transfer the markings. So what I've done is I have pinned along the line that I want, and then I have, this is going to be inside so it doesn't matter, I've used a pen to, as best as I can, draw between them. And fingers crossed, when I take these pins out, I will have a reasonably good, it's probably not going to follow these lines exactly, but a reasonably good guide for cutting this out. Not too bad. I don't even know if you can see back that, but there is an outline. So I just need to, I'm going to cut this out so that I know I can see better how much fabric I've got to play with, and then I'm going to do this inner sleeve bit. I'm not sure if the pattern was designed like this, but could you be a more perfect fit? Like, this is exactly on the edge. Okay, so it's a new day. I've got everything cut out for the jacket. What I need to do now is, because I couldn't get hold of any horsehair canvas, I'm having to use the fusible stuff. I just need to cut out the bits that need to be done in that. From the instructions, it looks like there's supposed to be a bit at the back there as well, but I'm not going to bother with that because I've already got that interlining in there. I think it's going to be sturdy enough. I am going to do it for the collar and the front bit here though. Luckily for me, the interfacing is a bit see-through. So what I'm doing is this. I've just pinned around here and you can see the outline around there. So I'm just going to draw directly onto the canvas around this. I'll do that with that bit, which is like the back collar bit, and also I can get it out from under the tripod, this bit as well. So it needs to be from under the armpit and then down. In other news, a package arrived. This is my hat. I ordered the kid size because I've got an incredibly small head and I wanted it to be kind of perched more on my head rather than going direct, like all the way over it, and I knew that with an adult one it would swamp me. The question is though, is this going to be too small? So let's open it. The other thing is, will it actually look like the picture? Because with Amazon stuff, you never know. So let's open it and see what we've got. Not looking too bad so far. Let's give it a little try on. That is not too bad. I'm pretty pleased with that. I mean, for a kid's hat, that's a pretty good size. Like I say, the fact that this is the child's should tell you just how minuscule my head is. So yeah, we have a hat. I ironed on my interfacing and then stitched all my darts. I then attached the back and side pieces together. Okay, I got a bit carried away sewing it and forgot to explain what I'm actually doing. So, just to catch you up, this is the interfaced bit. We've got the fashion fabric on that side. This is the lining. I decided to do the lining in the same fabric as the fashion fabric because I had loads of it. and this jacket isn't going to close, so I figured if it flaps open or something, you'll just see this fabric instead of just the plain white. So I have basted this in, and then on the other side what I've done is, this is a facing piece, and I've stitched that along the centre front, and then I've done a little fold here so that when I flip it the right way out, that's going to be like a finished seam on the inside there. And then I just need to fold all of this in and hand stitch it. But what I need to do before I can do that is I need to trim down this seam allowance, and then I can actually turn it the right way round. Once that's done, I need to attach the shoulder seams to the back and side piece, and then I need to attach the collar. I'm a little bit unsure on how I'm supposed to do that. The instructions aren't amazing, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Okay, so plan for today is sleeves. I've got pretty much everything constructed on the jacket now. I've noticed with it sitting on my mannequin that it's dipping like that at the front, so I might just need to even that bit out. It's by like maybe 2 inches, so I just need to taper it across. For the outer sleeve, I have pleated it all up. The inside is looking very messy because I messed up the lines for my guides on where to pleat it multiple times. But I did figure it out eventually when I was very tired last night. Got the bits for the lining. These are slightly reinforced again just to give it a bit more body. They're going to be easy to put together. Other than that, I did remember that I actually missed a bit on the gaiters. There's like a little bit that with a buttonhole on to attach the strap that goes underneath, so I need to make that. But yeah, you know what? Once these sleeves are on, I think that's pretty much it. It's just accessories then, just a belt and a tie, and then I think we're done. So, time to get these sleeves on. I attached some mesh I found as a sleeve roll. I think it's safe to say that the little laundry bag mesh thing worked. There's quite an obvious difference between this side and this side. So yes, we have maximum poof on that side. It's looking good, so I've just got to repeat the same process on the other side, and then I need to sort this out. I'm not doing any closures on it purely because it's not going to actually fasten, so there's no point in doing closures on it. And I'm pretty sure, and I can't say for certain, but the one from the reference image doesn't look like it closes, so. I've just tried the outfit on and it looks awesome. I'm so happy. Anyway, though, there are a few little bits that I still need to finish. The accessories and a little bit to go on the end of the elastic, which just buttons onto the first button here. The pattern did come with a little thing that's basically this shape, but it's for a strap that is quite a bit thinner than the elastic that I've got, so I have made my own. Fingers crossed this should fit neatly into this little space here. Apologies if you can hear noise in the background, my neighbour's got his telly on incredibly loud. Right, with these I have pinned them on. What I need to do now is sew along this line, flip them, and then top stitch around like that bit. Then all I need to do is add a buttonhole, and then that is that one done. I'm not going to bother showing the making of the belt and stuff because I've done a belt before, and I will put a card to a video with that in. So next you will be seeing the reveal. You know what? I went into this seeing this as being a little bit of a laugh, but I legitimately love it. This fabric isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be way too much. And it is too much, but in a nice way. Like, it's actually really pretty. I love the way it's turned out. I mean, the sleeves are huge, and I love it. I made a tie. This is the first time I have ever made a tie, and I think it turned out okay. There's some little stitch lines towards the bottom that you can kind of see. I tried to do like really like tiny stitches, but you can see them. A shirtwaist, it's a shirtwaist. I've made a few now. The sleeves ended up being a little bit tight. That's purely on me. That's nothing to do with the pattern that I used or anything. I made the mistake of I measured the cuff area on the original pattern and then compared it with my sleeve that I drafted, and there was a slight difference, so I thought, oh, it's okay, I'll just taper it. That tapering didn't really work. It's ended up just being a little bit tight around this area here. But you know what, it's still wearable. It's still totally fine. I love the contrast with the white collar and then the gingham. I think it looks really cool. The bloomers turned out great. They fit perfectly. I'm so happy with how they turned out. There was some difficulties with that weird button placket, but it has worked. The buttons aren't totally evenly spaced, but the ones that are a bit off, they're hidden anyway. Nobody would ever know. The important thing with that is that it has pockets. It has 2 functioning pockets, which I could not have made this with only having the one pocket. I like symmetry. You can tell that by the way I do actually have an even number of piercings on each side of my face. They're just in slightly different positions. The gaiters, I love them. They look so cool. That little bit that I added on the flappy bit was a little bit fiddly. The fabric ended up being quite thick, but you can still get it on and off. And yeah, so it functions, and that's the important thing, and it does look quite neat. I wasn't able to top stitch it. I ended up having to do little tiny whip stitches because there was no way my machine was going to be able to handle such a fiddly little thing. The buttons. I can't remember the exact number that I calculated, but it was over 40 in total for everything. It was hassle sewing them all on, and it's hassle buttoning them all up, but I think it's worth it. I don't think the gaiters would look as good if they didn't have that many buttons down them. I really love the effect. It looks really cool. I know the hat is just bought, but I'm still happy with it. It's surprisingly similar to the one in the reference image. It's always dodgy when you're buying things from Amazon. You never know what you're going to get. So I'm genuinely surprised that it does look like it does in the picture. I was definitely right going for the child size though, because this, it's pinned on at a jaunty angle right now, but I can legitimately fit it on my head properly. So I imagine the large size would have looked very silly. We would have probably been in Edwardian hat territory. Overall, I'm super, super pleased with how this project has turned out. I am going to be wearing this out. I have got that event coming up in June, and this is coming with me. I am very much looking forward to prancing around in this. It's going to be so much fun. I've got a few other things that I need to make for that event. I've got to make a tea gown. I'm going to go with a similar sort of shape to the one in Crimson Peak. I love it, and I managed to find some great fabric, which I will show you in a future video. It's £3 a metre. It was reduced. Brilliant. I've also got to make a ball gown. I've never made a ball gown before. I got some really cheap taffeta that I found in a charity shop, and I'm hoping that there is enough there that I can use, because that's just another great project where I don't need to buy anything. There'll probably be a few other little bits and bobs along the way, but I think we can safely say that my video schedule until June, well, up to and including June, is going to be Victorian content, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much to people who've supported me on Ko-fi. That includes people with monthly memberships and people who've done one-offs. You should see your names here. It really does mean a lot, and it all contributes to my goal of raising money to get some new lights, because mine are trash. If you would like to support me, buy me a coffee, then my link is going to be in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I have enjoyed making this. YouTube is saying that you might enjoy this video right here next, and I will see you next time. Bye!